Yep, we're going. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Got a new follow already. Wesley F83. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Give you some blinky lights in the background. Appreciate that. Cool. All right. Well, welcome to the stream. I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of this website, techinterview.guide. And tonight we're going to do less tech interviewee stuff. And we got Chris Pirillo on the line here. Chris, how's it going today?
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Good times.
I mean,
Good times.
because the work day's done. Now we get to play and talk about
That's
work.
right. That's right. And have fun stuff. So I got something to show off. This is like the first thing I bought myself in a long time.
Woo! Yeah.
Got myself the Razor Crest. Or no, sorry, that's not.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
Yeah,
Razor
it's the
Crest.
Razor Crest.
Is that
Yeah.
Razor Crest? Yeah.
Yeah, you've got some. I don't
I'm
have that.
I'm not
one.
I'm not the nerd you are, so I don't know all the names, but I do have Mando with the child,
Nice. Yeah.
and I just picked up a new one today.
Can't have
so-
enough Lego sets.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for those joining the stream that normally watch me and watch me go through resumes and so on, I'm with Chris Pirillo, huge Star Wars nerd. All the shelves you see in the background are just full of Star Wars stuff and Lego.
And
So I
Lego,
picked-
yeah. Oh,
so I
yeah,
picked
Boba
myself
Fett
this one up
Starship.
today.
Yeah,
So I got the Boba Fett one. Oh, but
Yeah.
check this. This is gonna be my weekend project.
And
Not
Lego
Star Wars
sets.
related. I hope
What?
you'll forgive me on this one.
Ugh.
But it is huge.
Well, now I'm interested. Okay, Technic, that works. I found a big.
It's the new Batmobile.
Oh, it is. It says Batman. I didn't even notice that in the corner.
Yeah,
Wow.
tiny little logo, but yeah, that's gonna be my fun for the weekend.
Wow. Yeah, I just got I thrifted. I don't have the box up here, but at one point Lego Mindstorms had a Star Wars set with R2D2. Like you could build astromechs
Oh,
with
wow.
a variety of droids. Yeah, and
Sweet.
I found it thrifting for like $4, and the box was damaged and everything, and I thought, oh, it's got a few pieces. I looked inside. When I got home, I opened it. The bags are unopened. Like this is an unused set.
Wow,
So I guarantee I could probably turn around and sell it. I could flip it for
for
like
sure.
hundreds of dollars, but I'm like, no, it's a complete set. I'm gonna hold on to it. You
That's
never
funny.
know.
Have you ever actually flipped these sets?
Not the Lego sets. I've only flipped things that like duplicates, or sometimes I've picked up extraneous items thrifting that I know might have resale value,
Okay.
but I generally don't flip. If I did, it would be a hobby anyway. I mean, in order to make it's just like when I 3D print, it's
Right.
like it's a hobby because number one, I wouldn't necessarily be, well, I could, this is a model I made because I 3D print here
sweet.
on Twitch every night.
Yep.
And I scanned it using an iOS app. It's an Emperor's Royal Guard, basically.
Mhm.
I would love to sell it, but the problem is that it's not perfect. Number one. Number two, I don't own the license for Star Wars or don't have the rights. And three, you'd have to sell it en masse in order to make any kind of scratch. So
Gotcha.
it's just as easy to do this for myself.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I got a couple things I want to show off to a couple of folks here. So I'm just going to change my screen here for a sec and head over to this one. So hopefully the audio will play through on this. But yeah, Chris decided he was going to write me a new theme song the other day. So let's see. And it was like perfectly looped, but I'm not sure the audio is actually playing through. So darn. Let me see if I can get the audio going here.
I can try. If I remembered what it was, I could sing it again. But unfortunately, I don't remember what it was.
It was let me pause it here. It was everybody Wang Chung tonight, but it was like, if you need help with your tech resume.
Yeah.
I was really tempted to actually get it on there and play that, but yeah, it was a great little clip. I'll drop the link for it in chat if folks want to watch that. It'll be good for some fun, and as well as this one. So I'm gonna drop this in. This is probably one of my favorite clips of Chris from way back in the day.
Is that a Tech TV blooper?
Way back in the day. Yeah.
Wait, no, wait, hang on. That's not a blooper.
No,
No.
it's like the full 3.5 minute segment, but you like lose your mind laughing
yeah.
about something,
Wow.
and you look so young in this clip. It's pretty funny. Let me get it up on this browser window here, just
Thank,
so people
thank,
can at least see
yeah,
how young you were back
yeah.
then.
Thank you,
Look
thank you
at
for
that.
linking that. Yeah, but I just commented like the title is Chris Pirillo loses control, but then I commented just now and said never had control to lose. So
Right.
I enjoy doing that.
Too funny. So I was trying to remember what it was where you like completely lost your mind on on that show, but you were like you got the giggles
That
and
might
you
have been
just couldn't
it.
stop. You just
That
couldn't
might have
stop.
been
You're
it.
just laughing and laughing, and someone's like calling in and they're asking like a legit question. It was like a call show.
Yeah, and I looped. I ended up looping. The guy contacted me years later.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah,
great.
he was the caller in the famous blooper. So that was his little claim to
That's
fame.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really funny. That's funny.
Cool. So, Chris, tell us a bit about your background because you've been kind of around tech and you've been doing all kinds of like
Yeah,
talk
you know,
and video and stuff like that for years and years and years. So, give everybody like a bit of background. I know your followers on here are going to know all about you, but my followers may not. So, just for the sake of everyone, like, who's
that's
Chris?
fine. Yeah, I first of all, I don't know who I am. Second of all, when you ask about my background, my immediate response is, well, it's a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff.
That's
That's
fair.
my background. You know, in a tertiary capacity, I guess if I had a label for myself, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a content creator. If I had to choose a top label, I would say creator, because inevitably, if there was a thread throughout my life, it's that I have created content and have been very comfortable creating content, whether it would be in front of the camera, a microphone, in front of a word processor, as we used to call them back in the day. Back in the mid 90s, I graduated with a degree in English education and never really did anything with it. Apart from really appreciating the personal essay, as they used to call it, before blogging was
Right.
a thing. That was really personal essay, and I that always it 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 captivated me in a way that no other form of writing really did. Because expository writing, while intellectually, I guess compelling, it wasn't as fulfilling as more of a creative pursuit. And creative writing itself as an end wasn't necessarily, it was something that I had done in high school, but I knew that the path to success would be very, very, very long. So I, in the mid 90s, basically started to send out an email newsletter of things that I found online, which nowadays seems quaint. I'm like, well, why don't you get a Twitter account? Well, Twitter didn't exist. Well, why didn't you get a blog? Well, blogs didn't exist.
Yep.
Usenet news groups still existed, and I started on the internet in '92, when before or right around the time that Yahoo, the site, had a tilde in the URL
Oh
and
yeah.
was hosted, at Stanford. So I think that was it. If I remember correctly, it's been eons since the days
Has
of
been a minute, huh?
Mosaic. Yeah, so I've done a fair amount, and grew up really with the internet. I was in college. I was, in the early '90s in college, but by the mid '90s, trying to identify what it was that I wanted to do, I couldn't. Like you could, and even to a certain degree today, my challenge and my frustration is not knowing where I belong. Like, I
Hmm.
know what I do. I know what I do well. I know what I enjoy. I know what titillates me. But I find myself challenged because I have to conform to certain parameters in order to not just belong, but to fit and to fulfill a role.
Hmm.
And that's a
Yeah.
different way of thinking over this past 3 years compared to the preceding 22. Because for 22 years, I just existed. And
Right.
I did my thing and I created content, and it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was something that I enjoyed doing. Eventually, though, as much as I've created content, and most of that around technology, like talking about tech trends and releases, I'm not going to say I burnt out on it, but it started to become very uninteresting very quickly.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and I mean that with all respect. Technology, you could show me the latest smartphone, I'm going, oh yeah, it's glass. Bet she's got a camera on there too, doesn't it? Mm-hmm.
Bet there's a battery, maybe some electronics
Yeah,
underneath.
you
Yeah.
can make phone calls if you're lucky. So it doesn't drive me. The hardware
Yeah.
doesn't drive me. It never has, and I doubt it ever will. Apart from hardware to gain some kind of new experience. So installing a modem back in the day would have gained a different experience.
For sure.
Software motivates me. So I've had a weird career that was largely defined by what I thought was interesting and where I thought there was opportunity to, I guess, focus. And that worked. As an early mover, that worked for the greater part of 2 decades. And then a few years, basically about 7 years ago, I realized I'd hit a ceiling and I couldn't grow personally and I couldn't grow professionally because I was limited by my experience, limited by my interests, limited by what it was that I could do within an ecosystem in a world where now anybody can be a creator, which is awesome.
Right.
Where's my place in that? Where do I fit? And I've inspired, and I'm not trying to be braggadocious, but I've inspired a few people. Like I'll do something and then people will pick up on. I mean, all the way down to, on Twitch, it's I was just messing around, right? But I just pulled this out the other day. No, I hadn't done it on Twitch before the other day, and I decided to pull out a puppet.
Why does that puppet have my shirt, Chris?
That we coordinated. That's what that was.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I did a puppet for the hype train, right, on Twitch, and that's a big thing on Twitch. YouTube. YouTube,
for sure.
Look, I'm YouTube. I know how to do live video. No. Twitch live video is different. So I did a puppet.
That's awesome.
And then other people started to do puppets, right? So I have a tendency to do that. I will.
You're a pioneer. Like, honestly, you've been a pioneer in a lot of this stuff, and people are following your lead. Like, I've seen people come on Twitch after you. Like, Loyal Moses was like a big one, and I know he was influenced a lot by you and your channel and kind of the engagement and the interaction that you have. And so it's fantastic to see that.
But
absolutely.
It is. But the problem is when I'm lost in that prospect, because Loyal Moses is an extreme example, because it's great because we still have a connection. But not having a connection with other creators that I might have inspired, I'm on the outskirts. Like, my value is come and gone, and I have been struggling. I mean, you have no, just this soul searching is the wrong word, but like this period of time where I know my value, but being able to match my value to an outcome that's going to pay the bills, right? And before I could afford to bleed off that influence, if you will. And I don't mean that in the flippant term of influencer, which I've got a problem with, and I don't want to get into it. The reason why is because influence is a byproduct. It's not the focus. That's my perspective. So, the creation is the act, right? The content, what you're creating or catalyzing, that's the act, that's the focus. So in doing what I did, never found a way to effectively translate my interests and passions and understanding into effectively productizing myself. And so I knew that I hit a ceiling. And so then a few years ago, I had an opportunity to join Intel and be a community advocate. I'm like, cool, because I've never done that inside of any traditional business, really. And I thought it would be interesting. And it was. And I've navigated the pathways within Intel to this point. And I'm currently, my current role is as product manager, which is completely new for me, but not new, because in many ways I had been on the outskirts dealing with developers, dealing with products as reviewer is the wrong word, because I suck at reviews. I'm a great showcaser. I'm a great person to say, look, here's what you need to do, X, Y, and Z. I'm a great advocate for the user, an advocate for the community. But in terms of the other side of the equation, it's these are new skills that I'm learning, which is challenging and fun and compelling. But that's, unfortunately, I can't say to you very simply, oh, I'm an English teacher. It would be so easy, Ian.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But it's not. It's very nuanced. It's very complex. I have a long history of doing a variety of things that I thought were interesting and or things that were interesting. Yeah. Yep. And
it makes and I can see where it comes from. It makes it hard to find like what's your place in the world. I had this to like a small degree when I was like, so I just finished a job hunt. I started a job like a week ago Monday, and it took me, Thanks. And it took me a long time to figure out, like, do I want to be a contributor? Do I want to be a manager? Do I want to get into what we call developer relations, which you and I have talked about a little bit. And it took me a while to figure out, like, which one do I want to be? Because even my own LinkedIn, we're about to jump into yours and roast yours a bit, but even my own LinkedIn, like, people were looking at it going, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, I'm going to be 48. I have no idea what I'm going to be when I grow up. Because I've got
Really?
such a variety of background in the tech industry that I didn't know what that next role was going to be either.
But I'm older than you. I'm going to be 49
Oh, yeah?
this year.
All right. All right. Well, don't have me by much, but yeah. And hey, quick shout out to all the follows. So just tons of people coming in from your channel, I'm sure. Appreciate all the follows. I'm going to give everybody some blinky lights and some applause. So appreciate that.
I'm sorry, Ian, if I interrupt your flow, you are hosting.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, and people are keeping track of other skills such as Candy Corn, The Expanse, Puppeteer, Candy Corn Aficionado. Yeah, keeping track of all kinds of skills to add over to your LinkedIn here in a minute. And Pez Liz is hanging out with us too. I'm sure Pez Liz has all the dirt. So I think we're about to get into some fun territory for sure. And yeah, I do have the drop game on there. That was also inspired by hanging out on Chris's stream. So yeah, Chris, like you've definitely influenced a lot about how I do things and engage with folks, and thank the new followers and thank the the newcomers and first time chatters and Comic Age. Good to see you. I got my T-shirt right here. Oh, check this out.
You got a Comic Age clothing T-shirt. Is it
Yeah,
Star Wars?
have you seen these? Have you seen
I have
these?
seen them.
I just
seen any Star Wars on his site.
I just watched it and
Wait.
had it done. So
No, I had not.
Loyal Data Rancher.
I had not seen that. No,
Yeah,
how did I not see that?
They're really amazing. So I've worn it, I washed it, and I had it nearby. So I just wanted to show that off. So Comic Age, thanks thanks for the great shirt.
How
Yeah.
did I miss that? The only ones I saw.
I think it was fairly new. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was a fairly new edition that he's got on there. So, yep, good times. Liz knows where the bodies are buried. They're wondering if they're in your basement. So we got kind of a crib style tour of Chris's house the other day, showing off all of his Star Wars stuff, all of his Lego stuff, and it made me worry a little bit that this limited edition thing that I would love to send to you, you may already have, but if you
never
don't,
know.
but
it's
if you
Star
don't,
Wars,
it is Star Wars.
then I love it.
But it's a Mandalorian pin set.
Ooh. I don't have many of those. I don't even know if I have any of those. In fact, there was a Boba Fett set that was on Amazon today. I skipped.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, for $20. I was like, I don't know. Wait, which one's that one?
Yep. So it's Mandalorian and the guy with the dark saber and
Moff
Grogu.
Gideon,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have that one.
But it's like 16,000 of 20,000. So limited edition set that's coming your way.
Yeah.
So
wow.
that'll go up on your shelf with everything else.
Nice.
So
yeah. No, it'll find its place.
Awesome. Yeah. So definitely, this is the way for sure. So the point of tonight is like kind of commiserating a little bit with like I didn't know what I wanted to do either, and I got some tips and pointers on what do I do about my own LinkedIn. And I kind of reached out to Chris, and we were chatting a little bit, and he's like, "Yeah, I could use some help with LinkedIn and make LinkedIn my resume." And I mean, I've got everything I've ever done on my LinkedIn, so my LinkedIn is gigantic. And that actually ended up being a problem when I was on the job hunt. Now I know you're not looking for a job, but like, you do want to keep stuff kind of up to date so that if you are at a point where you're like, you know what, I think I want to shift directions and I want to do something else, that you don't have to spend like a week doing this. So Chris is basically going to edit in real time as we go through his LinkedIn. So I'm going to change screens over here. Generic Mike Chen, good to see you in chat. Kurt Grosser, Fix'em Dude. Got all kinds of fun folks hanging out. So let's go over to that screen. So this is Chris's LinkedIn. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Whatever it's worth. Yeah, sorry. I'm user number 700 something on LinkedIn. No joke. I'm like a 3-digit user number. I don't know how to ascertain that anymore, but I was one of the first people on LinkedIn. That's
pretty awesome.
Not joking.
Yeah,
I use it for Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sure there's a way to look that kind of stuff up, but let me just zoom out here a little bit, get out of that mobile view a little bit here. I'm sure if we were to like hover over things, we would probably see that pop up somewhere. By the way, I've got a pending connection request to you on LinkedIn. So, I mean, the first thing that I would say is like get a good picture of yourself, and this is a fantastic picture. It doesn't get much better than Chris with the rainbow background. Nice, like it's a good headshot. It's a good headshot. This one here in the back where it's kind of like cutting your face off. This one's fine. This back image, I forget what they actually call it. Some websites they call it like a hero image, but this one in the background, you can kind of rely on this one a little bit to be, show off like a little bit more of what you do. And one of the things that I kind of caught a quick glimpse of when you were giving us kind of the cribs tour of your place, you switched over to a mobile phone and we got to kind of like walk through your house with you. And one of the things that I got to see was a shot of your desk layout with the lights and the cameras and things like that. And I almost wonder if you want to stay in this kind of, content creator kind of space, if that might make a better backdrop of like, this is me, like this is my view of the world. This is what I see with cameras and lights and the screens and things like that.
Yeah.
Might be something to consider.
Again, did you? No, thank you.
Yeah, so it will depend a little bit. Again, like when we kind of filter down into like what do you really want to do, in the future, like how do you want to present that about yourself? This one's fine. It kind of shows that personality of like cut your face off. What's that saying? Cut your face off despite your nose, kind of thing.
Yeah. But well, it's more like I've got the professional shot, but then the background is kind of a silly shot, kind of looking down over the graphic, so it's very breaking the fourth wall. So that graphic was designed to break the fourth wall. And look at Chris. Look down. Look below. So that's cool. That's the serious, like, hey, I'm a professional, and then the second one is more of the behind the scenes. So that the juxtaposition was what I was going for with that.
One thing that might be fun with that picture, if you've got the original, is if your face is kind of like down where you could draw like a white bar across the bottom of the image to kind of go under your nose, so it does look like your nose is dipping into the white a little bit. I kind of like that old style cartoon where you like draw the guy's nose over the fence kind of thing. Is do something like that. Yeah, Kilroy was here. Is just draw a white bar, but then have it like go like sort of behind your nose, so it looks like your nose is actually like peeking over. That'd be an interesting sort of effect to break that fourth wall. But overall, like good layout here. Creator focused product manager, content creator. Like this headline here is what a lot of recruiters, like if someone's going to reach out to you and say, hey, we got this position, we got this opportunity, this is the first thing that's going to catch their eye is like, what are you doing right now? And so I promised Chris I was going to kind of like go out of like tech interview mode and just give advice and ideas here that are going to be applicable across the span of like anybody with a LinkedIn profile can do these things. So this part that I have highlighted on Chris's page right now, this is what we call the headline. And this headline should be whatever you want to chase as that next job. So if you've got a LinkedIn profile and you want to get a job as a software developer, you want to get a job as a content creator, you want to get a job as whatever, fill in the blank, make that your headline. Because recruiters, like businesses, anybody that's looking at your LinkedIn profile, they're going to see here that that's what you are. You don't want to use words like aspiring or up and coming content creator. Just if you're a content creator, you like call yourself a content creator. If you're a first-time web developer, don't say aspiring web developer. You are a web developer. So whatever that title is that you're chasing, this needs to be your headline. That's the first thing they're going to see. And then this next part here talks about tips, ideas, and so on. This can also be part of the headline as well. And again, you can use the hashtags in here, but they're not actually going to get picked up like the actual hashtags would be on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
are they automated?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So, because I post like, and I haven't updated the feature in a bit, but like I'll post like inspirational quotes and everything sometimes. I'm not doing it as prolifically right now, but yeah, those are automated.
Perfect. And then someone asked in chat, Mark H and C asked, what about the little green like open to work circle thing around the profile pic? That's okay to do. So I actually saw a stat on that this morning that there's something like 12 million LinkedIn profiles with that little open to work thing on there. I would say, if you've got it on there, it definitely lets people know that you're looking for work, but you can also go into your profile.
Wait, did I screw up?
No, yours. No, it's not on yours. But somebody was just
Okay.
asking in chat, like, what about
Okay.
that little like green circle thing that you see around profile pictures that says open to work? You can turn that on. Like you can say like I'm open to work, but you don't have to necessarily add that to your profile picture, and you can still let recruiters know that you're open to new opportunities. And so that's something that you can go in and you can kind of set in your profile when you are ready to pursue things. Or you can say, like, I'm kind of casually looking versus like, no, I'm on a definite job search right now. And then want to go, they'll kind of go through that. One neat little thing that you can do on LinkedIn is if you are connected with somebody, and I'm just going to reload the screen here. If you are connected with somebody where it says 500 plus connections, that actually becomes a clickable link that you can actually click through, and now you can go find connections through that person. But you actually have to be connected on LinkedIn in the first place.
But you
By the way,
see, you have to accept now because
yes,
when I looked at your profile, I just had follow. I couldn't actually, and it was because you looked at my profile that I was able to connect with you. You had to look at my profile, Ian. So now
they
it's
make
on
it they make it
you.
harder. They make it harder now, but you can go
Okay.
through and actually say you want to connect with
Well,
people.
a
It's
lot of
it.
my a lot
I
of
think
my
it's under the
connections I
more. I
shouldn't
think
have
it's under
done.
the more button. Yeah, under the more
Possibly.
button now, you'll typically see like a connect or accept.
Oh,
Looks like you sent me one.
I have a lot of legacy connections on LinkedIn, which is another catastrophe that long story short, back in the day, it was a different type of social network. I added, oh yeah, sure, you look cool, you look cool, you look cool. Now I use it differently.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. And yeah, and everybody is welcome to connect with me. It's on LinkedIn. I use the same username as here on Twitch. Just Ian Douglas 736 if you want to connect with me, or you can follow me. I post a lot about like interviewing and things like that. I'm going to be posting more on social networks about the work that I do, but for now, like this is kind of my side gig, and I love helping people out with interview skills and things like that. So scrolling down, the big one here is going to be this about section. So I've been a content creator, blah blah blah. This is fine. The first paragraph or so that you write is what's going to show up here, but you can actually make this really long. You can make this like several paragraphs long, and when you load somebody's profile, it's actually going to compact it up to begin with. And but the nice thing about their search algorithms is it's going to pick up any keyword that you write in there. So literally anything you want to write in there about keywords of jobs that you want to match on, and this is for everybody, not just Chris. So like for Chris, as a content creator, you could put like OBS, camera equipment, like all the stuff that you're used to setting up, and how you do the content creation, and which parts of the content creation you're willing to do. You can add a whole bunch of stuff here in the about section. You can almost treat it like a cover letter where you talk about the kinds of skills that you have and the like the things that you bring to the company that are going to make that company better. So what do you have as far as like superpowers? What are your superpowers? List all that stuff in the about section, and it can be really, really long. And their search algorithm, like I said, it's going to pick up all the keywords in there. You can use the hash mark for like the tags, but it doesn't actually get picked up as tags on there. But their algorithm is going to scrape through all of that. Even if a human only sees like this first paragraph, and then typically down here in the bottom right, you'll see like read more or something. They have to click on that to expand it. And so you want that first sort of paragraph that you write to be a really compelling sort of call to action of like, hey, you need to connect with me because of this, this, this. This is what I bring to your company. And so that first paragraph you want to make really strong, very actionable, but then everything under that is like, by the way, here's like a zillion skills that I've got that maybe you don't necessarily want to list as other activity or other skills within your profile, but you still want to talk about. And then anybody looking for that kind of information in the search bar, the search algorithm is going to pick up for your profile. Some folks in chat were asking about premium. It is a little spendy. It's like $30 a month if you go month to month. I think it gets a little cheaper if you pay for a year in advance. I use the premium one right now because I was doing job hunting. But now that I got a job, I'm going to be shutting all that off. No need to keep paying for it for myself. And I've had it in the past, and it's nice. It does give you a few extra perks as far as like email, like in-mailing. They call it in-mail. You can in-mail people that you haven't yet connected with. But I find I don't get a lot of good response from that when I reach out to people. They tend to just ignore it or mark it as spam or something, and I never hear back from them anyway. So, yep. Cool. So that's the about section, and then the features section. This is so the features section here for Chris. This is Chris's kind of like daily video, and you do these while you're like out for a walk or out for a run or something. You're making these every day or almost every day.
I did, but I can't. I've tried to add some of the new ones, but it basically capped me. I have.
Oh, really?
When I go to add more features, like it's not. Yes, I've done a lot.
It's not an unlimited supply. Yeah, you've got 118 actually, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So you've got 123 right now. That's quite a lot. So yeah, I don't think it's like an unlimited supply. I think at some point it's gonna like, you know, like you're seeing, it's gonna kind of cap you off. Someone's laughing. Someone's laughing at my comment about walk or run. Oh, you're just out on your deck. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I always thought you were like out for a stroll, and it's like I'm gonna make some inspirational video for the day.
No, I would not do that. That would require physical activity.
Yeah, you'll have to train Jedi to come in and like clean out some of the old ones, so you've got room to put new ones on there. Or something.
My God, I mean, jeez. Yeah, I in fact, yes, I post these little clips. I haven't done it in a few days because it's very low priority.
Yeah. And low engagement from the looks of it, like single digit, like, you know, thumbs up and so on.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's very inspirational and people can draw, you know, what they want to from it. But I tend not to do a lot of what works on LinkedIn, because I know what works on LinkedIn. I just don't feel like that's really what I want to do, and I realize that I probably should, but I don't know. LinkedIn, when people post, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Braggadocious. It's very flowery. It's very, I don't know. I'm not going to say disingenuous. I'm not going to say that. It's just, you kind of wonder when people share their achievements on LinkedIn or advice on LinkedIn, just how much of it is real. So I try to take from that, like, you know, what kind of inspiration would be helpful for me. And so it just tends to be motivation.
Yeah.
Just motivational stuff. That's it.
Yep. But it is a good showcase of like, no, look, really, I am creating content every day. Like, scroll over here and you see how many things you're actually doing. Like, that's what people are going to pick up on. It's like, okay, yeah, you really are a content creator when you have this kind of stuff. So the featured section is stuff that you get to sort of manually manipulate, and you get to show off the things that you do. So if you've got some kind of project work, some kind of volunteer work, you want to like feature a website that you were a part of or something you got quoted in or whatever it is, you can add that to this featured section on LinkedIn, similar to what Chris has been doing here with these videos. The activity section, though, this is automated. This is actually built by LinkedIn. So as you comment, as you like things, as you do stuff on LinkedIn, it builds this activity section. And then anybody that's... Yeah, and then everybody that's connected to you, they're going to kind of see all of the things that you do. Actually, whether or not they're connected with you, they can still see like how you comment or things that you like and so on. And so it is a way to kind of creep on people a little bit, to kind of get a sense of like, what are they into? What kinds of things do they sort of engage with? It can tell you a little bit about them. It's not quite as invasive as like companies that used to want like your Facebook profile so they could like, you know, creep on all your pictures and see who your family is and like find out you got that crazy uncle that, you know, suddenly they don't ever call you back for an interview. It's like, oh, because they saw that video of my crazy uncle getting drunk at the wedding or something. Like, you don't know why they're biasing against you. You just know that they're not calling you anymore. So, but having the activity on LinkedIn, if you do engage with that, LinkedIn will actually automate building this section of your profile. And so there's nothing really you can do to manipulate this activity section, unfortunately. And then from there, you get into the job experience. And so you've been at Intel now for 3 years. And I like that you've got kind of a good sort of cross-section of the different roles, as well as the see more on here. So I can expand that out and I can see everything that's going on. So one thing to note here is that first 2 lines, like that's kind of under your control. Like you want that first sort of point about that job to be like, you know, this was the biggest impact that I had at this job. You want that first point about that job to be the biggest impact, because everything else is going to get compacted under that with this little see more link. And so you want to grab like the most impactful thing that you've done as a product manager, the most impactful thing you did as a social media manager, and put that in that top line. And that's typically going to be like a really strong action verb of some kind, like I produced X million, blah, 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 or I hosted X thousands of people, on a live stream or whatever, and try to quantify it as much as possible too. So you want to throw some numbers in there so people can actually see like and sort of glean the value of what you've actually done as part of that activity.
Okay.
Because if we go through and if we expand product manager, for example, it really just expands out a paragraph from there. And so if you can break that out into bullet points, well, people are more
anything about it right now.
No, which is fine. But like, any sort of job experience that you have on LinkedIn, you generally, if you can, try to break it down into little bullet points, because people can sort of read and parse bullet points a lot easier than a whole paragraph of text. As far as like extracting information that's going to be meaningful to them, that you're really trying to convey as they're like looking over your resume or looking over your LinkedIn. And what Chris's hope is like, let's turn his LinkedIn into a resume. There is actually a way to save this as a PDF, and that becomes, something akin to a resume. But when I did that with mine, it ended up being like an 8-page document. And I'm not going to send anybody an 8-page resume. Nobody's got time to read through that drivel. No matter what kind of cool stuff I've done in my career, they're not going to read 8 pages of it. They're going to go through page 1 and go, all right. No, they're going to make a decision from there. So as much as possible, you want to try to keep this compact and keep it concise. Or you can go the other way and actually put everything you've ever done on LinkedIn and then actually have a separate resume, which is what I do. And so I've got everything I've ever done on LinkedIn. But when I make a resume, I treat that resume as like, here are just the most relevant, pertinent things that you need to know about me as I apply for this job. So I'm going to take all of this experience that I have, and I'm going to crunch that down into like a page, maybe 2 pages, and only show you the direct, immediate value that I bring to your company for this role, as opposed to here's an archive of everything I've ever done ever, which is not what a resume should be. It should never be like, here's everything ever. It just really needs to convey like, this is what you need to know about me as I look for this job. We got Loyal Moses in the chat. What's up, Loyal Moses? What if I don't want a job? I tried working once. I didn't like it. Yep, that's fair. That's fair. That's why they call it work, right? It would be great if we get paid to do fun. But yeah, Abilene French, good to see you in chat as well. Got all kinds of folks hanging out tonight. So yeah, we're just we're going through Chris's LinkedIn and just talking just general advice on how to sort of build up and compose a compelling LinkedIn profile. Because Chris hasn't really tended to his in a bit. So what else we got on here? We got Pirillo.com. You don't have your... you do have Locker Gnome on here. Mm-hmm. President of Locker Gnome. All right. I remember you chatting about that for years, or for quite a while on your live stream like a week or two ago. Oops. There we go. All right, so Pirillo.com. So tell me a little bit about Pirillo.com. Is that like kind of the content and the streaming and all that kind of stuff that you do?
Yeah, it was the umbrella, under which I did projects.
Okay. So like a freelance kind of thing?
Yeah, it was all independent.
Mm-hmm. Which is totally okay. Still marking things as present, still there doing all of these different roles at present. And It's okay to do this. One thing that will stand out to people that are trying to recruit you for a job is they will look at how many things you have marked as, from such and such a date to present. And they're going to look at this and go, wow, you've got a lot of things going on like now all the time. Are you going to have time to take a new job? Or are you going to be distracted by these other duties and things like that? And so that will be one thing to sort of take into consideration as you apply for other jobs, is how many sort of side projects do you always kind of appear to have on the go. For someone like you, where this is what you do, this is totally okay. But for someone like me, like if I had like tons of little side gigs and, a little side business, and I'm working full time, and I got this, techinterview.guide website and all this stuff going on, people might look at that and go, are you like, do you really have time for a full-time job here? Because you got your finger in a lot of pies. And so it is something that some recruiters are going to take a look at, and others will take a look at this and go, yeah, this is what you do. This is, clearly what you're all about. And the experience that you've got on here ties really well to that headline that you've got, back up here at the top, telling us you're a creator-focused product manager and you're a content creator. Like that's everything that I'm seeing on your profile so far. So that's all. It's all looking good. So on your Pirillo.com experience, you've got things kind of broken out as bullet points. And so from a consistency point of view, you will want to stay consistent as you're kind of blocking out all your experience. So the stuff at Intel, the stuff with Pirillo, stuff with Locker Gnome, like everything underneath that appears to be all bullet point format. Just your Intel stuff is not. So you'll want some amount of consistency on there. So that's why I was recommending maybe you want to move the Intel experience into bullets as well. Cool. And then kind of as we saw, let me reload just so it'll compact it back up. There's unfortunately no easy way to like tell it to recompact things after you expand it. But again, for Pirillo.com, the first 2 points that I see, brainstorm client campaigns for sponsored activations, crafted plans to further boost organic content engagement. Like those are really strong kinds of statements. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so hard when you just do what you do. It's so hard to distill down your experience into how do you make sense of forging paths, when you don't have a traditional title. So that's what I was trying to give high level, because otherwise it's not going to make any sense. Like I can't,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can't be specific. I mean, I could be, but it's going to be irrelevant because it's more of all the experience that I accrued rather than specific engagements, right?
Right. And at one point with my resume, I did something similar. So to kind of like break into the tech realm for a little while, or for just a minute, on my resume, I used to list like every programming language I ever had, every framework, every library I ever did, all these tools and stuff that I used. And I got to a point on my resume where it was cluttered with skills. And so I kind of took all of that stuff off and said, here are my skill sets. I do scalability, I do reliability, I do security. Like, you want me to do it in a particular language, I'll go do it in that language. You want me to use a particular framework, I'll go do it in that framework. But like, these are the high level skills that I bring to a company. But that ended up actually lowering engagement on my profile and on my resume because I wasn't putting specific keywords about the actual languages that I used. And so people weren't calling because they didn't know whether I was a good match from that technical point of view, because the first people that screen your resume are typically non-technical recruiters, and they don't get, he's done scalability for this many years and he's done security audits for this many years. He probably knows, A, B, C, D kind of skills. And I wasn't like tying in those keywords anywhere. And so when they were looking for a match of like, does Ian know Python? Does Ian know JavaScript? They're like, I don't know. I can't tell from his profile because he took all that stuff off. And so I ended up not getting calls for interviews. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll start putting that stuff back on, but still leave kind of the high level stuff. So I get where you're coming from, where you want it to be the high level kind of stuff. Otherwise, this would just be full of bullet point after bullet point after bullet point of like the highly concise things. But that's also where, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, all the stuff that happened independently, like, how do I explain there's no easier way of saying I was a lifestyle entrepreneur, so I just put it under the umbrella of Pirillo.com, right? Which doesn't really even exist at this point as something, but these are like the various things that I've worked on. Or president for Locker Gnome, which, was the business name. I had no other way of basically saying, here's all the things that I did for 20 years. Right. As opposed to looking at a resume and say, interesting, what did you do for 20 years before you came to Intel? Right. It's like, well, I did a whole bunch of crap. So.
Right. Well, when they're asking you that question, though, what they're really asking is like, give us the highlights and how that's going to be applicable to this job. Like if it's like, we want to know that you were doing something for 20 years, you weren't just like kicking back watching TV for 20 years. But you when you explain that kind of stuff, they're really asking you to explain tell us the value that you're bringing. And a lot of those really specific things you could put in that about section up top where you've only got that one paragraph right now. When that gets compacted up, they're not going to see that other stuff anyway. And so you could draw out like a couple of the specifics, just that way if they are looking for those keyword hits, it will hit on some of that. Just that way if they're looking for somebody with a particular skill set, very particular set of skills. Now I got that quote in my head. Like that you'll get picked up on those keywords. And so you can kind of hide those in the about section without making this experience section enormous.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's keep going here. Got all kinds of fun stuff going on in chat. We'll get caught up in chat here in just a sec. There it is. Computer Power Magazine, Tech Software Editorial, Sandhills Publishing. Was that the or was it the CNN one, the live TV one that we were watching there earlier?
That would have been different.
Was it? Okay. TV. Oh, that was the Tech TV one. Yeah. Cool. Radio show host. Man, you've done all kinds of stuff.
That's the problem, Ian, is that I did a whole bunch of crap, not because I was planning on it, but like it just happened, and I just kind of pull the threads and see, what unravels. That was my modus operandi up until like 3 years ago, when I had to like really shift gears, drop my transmission, and like figure out how to repair everything.
Yeah. Cool. So, like I said, I think a lot of the experience and how you've made the bullet points on all this stuff, I think, is generally fine. You're laying it out well. Everything's got bullet points except the radio show host at the very end and Intel, but like that's pretty minor.
I didn't. The radio show host wasn't. I mean, I could easily bullet point the Intel stuff too. The reason I used semicolons because I wasn't sure if the bullet points were working. Usually, I'm pretty consistent when it comes to mapping this kind of stuff out. I'll do that. I can do that. It's easy enough to update the bullet points for LinkedIn, for Intel. The thing that it's difficult for me to do is figure out, what I did and how it had an impact, right? Not just what I did, but like what was the impact. And that's what's very challenging with all the projects that I took on my own. As a lifestyle entrepreneur, it's difficult to winnow down, what's the biggest thing that you did? I don't know. I did a lot of crap. Like, what have you done? I don't know. I did a lot of crap. Like, like, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, show me something interesting. Here's the problem. LinkedIn is not for people like me. I'll say this. It is not for people like me. Okay. It is not. There's nothing that is uplifting about LinkedIn. There's nothing that is empowering about LinkedIn. I feel like it's for people who wanted to work for a living, and I was never that way. The people who have to work to live, not to live to work. Yeah. And I was always a live to work, and that shifted 3 years ago. So I just feel like, I'm kind of on the outside looking in, even being a part of it, even as early on as I was. I just don't feel like, I look at half the posts that people post, I'm like, okay, like, awesome, I guess.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
I don't know. There's just nothing interesting about a lot of the stuff that I see on LinkedIn. I just know that's where people go to look, right?
Yeah.
And I've never been good at encapsulating what it is that I do, because I can't even define what it is that I want. And I don't know, because like I said, what's that? That's a title. Okay, what do you got to do under that title? You got to do a whole bunch of crap that I would be bored silly if I had to do on a daily basis. Like, I can't see anything interesting or redeeming about one position or another.
And it's hard to find a company that's going to custom create a role based on your background and based on your history. And they're like, impossible. Oh yeah, we'll just custom make that thing for you. It's like that's why you go into business yourself and do things on your own.
And that's what I was doing. And so now I had to kind of figure out how to effectively squeeze myself into this very myopic, limited, you're going to make PowerPoint presentations for the rest of your life kind of role, which is, quite honestly, soul sucking, and not interesting at all, like not compelling at all. I'm blessed in the sense that what I'm doing now has not, put me on that path. There's still work that needs to be done, but it's helped me discover that I'm more of an advocate than I am an operator. More of someone who's on the forefront and talking to people than I am on the back end playing around in Excel. I'm more of someone who interfaces with someone, not necessarily someone who scripts the questions to ask. Does that make sense?
Yep. I kind of see you as not to name drop, but Leo Laporte. Like, I see you as that kind of like build the connections and like pull things together and like build up that community. I don't know if you're familiar with Leo, um,
No,
but
never heard of him.
no, like really? I'm like, I'm sure Chris knows who Leo Laporte is. Um, and people are still mentioning in chat all the things that you don't have on LinkedIn, like 3D
Trust
printing
me.
and Lego walks. And
But
yeah,
no one's. I don't think anyone's going on LinkedIn to find out
right.
who's, unless you're into
Yeah,
manufacturing and things
yeah,
like that. No one's
right.
gonna.
For
No
sure.
one's gonna. I'm not gonna say,
Yep.
hey, I'm farting around with like Darth Vader figurines. Like no one cares.
Yep.
I try to
And
think
loyal.
like, who cares? You know.
Yeah, and Loyal Moses brought up a good point. He says Chris isn't the traditional target audience for LinkedIn. I agree.
No,
And
I'm
and
not.
so someone else
the
in.
problem is I have to, but I have to be, and that's the problem.
Mm,
This is where it's led to so much frustration and consternation. You
right.
know, because I just like, okay,
Yeah.
like
You feel
and
you
I
feel
get it.
compelled like you
Play the
have to.
game.
You feel compelled like you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Right.
I'm not good at playing those. It's a game to me.
It's a corporate
But I'm
game for
not
sure.
good at playing the. It's a very important game, but I'm not good at playing that game. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. You could sit there and
Mm,
tell me what it is till you're blue in the face. I still wouldn't understand it because for 22 years
mhm.
I didn't need to understand it, right?
Right.
But I'm at that point now where I have to better be able to play the game in order to get out of the game what I need to get out of the game.
Yeah. Pezla's actually dropped the truth in the chat. Says you worked with Leo in the past, so I didn't know that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Creature Next mentioned in chat. There's a site called Polywork where you can just kind of go in every day, like what'd you do today, like what are some cool things that you've done that you want to kind of share with the community. And it is kind of it almost feels like a Twitter kind of thing of like, here's all the things that I've done. You can kind of go back and recap it, but like you said, like the corporate people that are going to be looking to give you that paycheck, they're going to be looking at something like LinkedIn. They're not necessarily going to be looking at something like Polywork to know, like,
Right.
you know, with TV production and the stuff that you do with your content creation, like they're not going to be looking at Polywork for that.
But I'm definitely not. I mean, I can't talk about a lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, sure.
It's not as public facing,
Sure.
unfortunately. That doesn't require skill to not talk.
Right.
As easy as it is for me, I'm like, yeah, I can't allude to what it is that I'm doing. I mean, I can share what I've shared, but that's what makes it difficult to rack up wins, right?
Yep.
When you work
For
on
sure.
larger things inside of massive corporations that you do not control. So it's made me a lot more reserved in terms of talking about things that otherwise I would have been not a big deal. I would have shared it and not thought anything of it.
For sure. RC Maniac brings up a good point. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And I think that that's true. And I think that even in the tech realm, a lot of people are like, I don't fit into LinkedIn, like for what they want to do in tech, like LinkedIn's not a good platform either. And so I think a lot of people are going to really sort of empathize with where you're at, Chris. At the same time, it is kind of that necessary evil that we see of like, I got to do LinkedIn whether you want to or not. And so,
and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make my LinkedIn profile palatable so that it makes sense. I'm not saying because I'm definitely not looking. I'm very satisfied with where it is, the trajectory that I'm on. Like there's something that is definitely like it's captured my attention, and I'm excited because at some point it's the hope that everyone will know what it was that I've kind of been on this journey for, and they'd get it. I guarantee they'd get excited, not to like get all marketing and everything,
right.
but you'd see it and go, wow, you were doing that. Like, yes, I was doing this, and this for it. Right. To bring it to the point where you could see it. But I also want to make sure that my LinkedIn profile and vicariously my resume reflect even inside of Intel, because there are different roles that open up and their first question is, well, do you have a resume? I'm like, I have a LinkedIn. And that's the problem, is because 20 years ago, I wasn't working for big company. I wasn't working for small company. I was working for my own company up until 3 years ago. And I did offshoots, doing tech TV and the radio host. I mean, generating revenue, 13 different ways, but not I never built a resume. I built relationships. I
Yep,
never
for sure.
built a resume. So what I'm looking for is I would love to find someone, and thank you for your guidance here, because these are great
Yep.
tips, but helping kind of, make
Shape that a
me
little
more
more.
professional, because I'm not. I'm the antithesis of professional. I'm not. I'm just not. I don't care to be. I really don't.
Hmm.
I just
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I care to be. I'll play the game
Sure,
and I'll
sure.
do my job and I'll check all the boxes, but there's not. I'll scroll through it, LinkedIn profile, my feed. I'm like,
Why do I
okay,
care? Yeah, why do I
why
care?
why do I care? I'm not
Yep.
interested. I'm completely disconnected from this. Even so and it's probably because I don't know a lot of the people that I originally got connected with. But even the
Right.
people I am connected with, I'm like, I guess this is important for you, and that's great.
Yeah.
But like, I
Not for me. Yeah,
not for
and that's
me.
fine.
I don't.
So I actually went to your LinkedIn profile and I went in there and I
Oh,
said,
the resume, yeah,
save this as a PDF, and it generates this resume for you. So I'm going to share a tip with you and the audience and so on. This is a tip that I give people all the time when it comes to building a resume. Is you want a gigantic resume like this, but when you go apply for a job, you need to trim it back down to a page or two. So Chris,
yeah.
I got a riddle for you. How do you make a sculpture of an elephant?
You go on to Etsy. No, you 3D print it.
3D print. You start with a giant block of stone and you chip away everything that doesn't look like an elephant.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
you can kind of do the same thing with a resume. Now that I've exported this, 6-page document, it's going to be a lot easier to go in and trim out the stuff that's not going to be relevant when you do need to go apply for a job, whether it's internal at Intel or somewhere else. It's going to be a lot easier to pull this stuff out and go, that's not relevant, that's not relevant, that's not relevant, and trim it down to that page or two and, reformat the font size or whatever, because this font size is gigantic, and strip out that left bar because it's not needed at all, and just make that one page sort of resume or page and a half resume showing like this is what I do, this is the value that I'm going to bring to this new role, because that's how you look like the best candidate for the job. You trim away all the stuff out of your resume that they don't care about, all the stuff that makes you not look like the best candidate. You want to trim all that stuff out of there. But there may be little bits in some of these roles of like, maybe some of the stuff you did with Locker Gnome is actually going to be relevant, to
Right.
some other internal thing. And so keep that on there. Keep that one bullet point. That's all they need to know. You've been doing it for 25 years, but just this one bullet point is something that they need to see. And so by starting with that really big resume and then trimming it back down to like, oh, you need a resume? Tell me the role. I'll go like delete 5 of these 6 pages and just give you a sculpted kind of resume. It's the fastest way to make a customized resume for any job that you ever apply for. But you have to start with a really big resume to begin with. And this is the fastest way of doing it. Go onto your LinkedIn where you've got all this stuff already, export that as a PDF, come in here, select all, paste into a new document. There's your resume. And now you just trim it back down to one page when you're ready to apply for a job. You make a copy of that, you trim it down. Now you've got a customized resume just for them. You save that copy, take it with you to those interviews, and you're good to go. And you've always got like that really big one that you can always export at any time.
And I've been saving
Yep.
those. Like, I've got like a high level, like not just a bio, because I've been asked for my bio a billion times. Um, but like, my experience external to Intel, or my skills, my reputation, as a self-starter,
Mhm.
organizer,
Sure.
presenter, troubleshooter, etc. So I've got a few of those things and I keep them on hand. They're just not baked into a template, or at least, in the construct of a LinkedIn profile.
Right. Cool. Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, as far as diving through your LinkedIn, that was kind of. I mean, it wasn't much of a
That's
roast
awesome.
because
No,
actually
no, no.
a lot of the content that was in there is actually fine. Just a couple little things that I would clean up,
Yeah,
and
no,
and
it's
then I
great.
wanted to kind of
You can
share that
use both
resume tip
ways.
at the end, like strip out what's not relevant. If they ask you for a resume, give them that resume, and then strip out whatever they're not going to care about, and get that thing back down to a page or 2 pages. I mean, for the amount of experience that you have, a 2-page resume is going to be fine. Someone actually told me one time, for every decade of experience, you get an extra page on your resume. But I think that only holds up to a certain
It's
degree,
about
because
right.
no one's going to look at our resumes and go, well, you've been in tech for 30 years. Like, I'm still not going to read a 3-page resume. And so you really do need to boil that down to just, this is like, distill it down to the most pertinent, relevant stuff for whatever role you're applying to. And then if it helps from that to kind of build that little bio kind of thing, then you can do that much easier because you've got that very condensed version of what they're looking for.
Interesting. Thank you.
That's
I appreciate the time and the insight.
Yeah. Oh no. I appreciate your time and hanging out with me. It's been cool kind of interacting and chat back and forth on our channels, but never actually had a chance to speak like this. So it's been
I know.
fun.
Like, well, thought it'd be good. I like doing collabs.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun
So
stuff.
I got my 3D printing on this week, and so all these Nanoleaf panels that I got hanging on the wall in the back, they actually don't stick very well to textured walls. And Nanoleaf actually sells these plates that you can buy from them for like dollars each, or someone actually modeled it, and I can 3D print scads of them all day long. They take about 2 hours each.
Now, what do they do?
So you mount this on the wall, and then the light panel actually like clicks into this thing, and so these have like little screw holes to actually like put it on the wall and like get it in a stud or something like that to hold it on the wall. Otherwise, all they give you is like the double-sided sticky like 3M command tape things, and that doesn't stick to textured walls. It only works on perfectly smooth walls. And I didn't want to like detexture the wall or like make it smooth, and so I found this on Thingiverse, printed up a ton of them. But one thing that I found they didn't have is there's no way really to line these things up to make them perfect. And so I went on Tinkercad myself, and I made a little plate that just kind of like fits in the little holes right here, and then line those things up, and now it's perfectly aligned, and now it'll stick on the wall like that. And I had to make it super thin so it didn't like stick out from the wall very much.
See,
but I love 3D printing. 3D printing's amazing.
You have, and speaking of 3D printing, that's the thing I'm going to be doing when I jump over to my stream here.
Cool.
I'm in the middle of replacing my tube. I have it. What the heck? I had a tube here. There was right here. I got to replace my Patifi tube. I think that's what they call it.
The PTFE tube.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I like Patifi.
Patifi. What else you spell? It's the Patifi tube. So you stick it in your USB port. Do you have an USB port on your printer? I have an USB port.
I have an USB port on some of my PCs and phones. I think I've got a USB.
USB is like the best USB that you could ever get. Like seriously, like if you upgrade your USB to USB, because is like seriously tops.
Sure.
But I'm in the middle of replacing the Patifi tube, and I ran into potentially I found my issue. Like there was filament that I think it had flowed up.
Oh, got jammed up in there.
And it may have happened the last time, because I've been having this issue since the last time I replaced my tube. So the thing I got to do here when I get going with the stream is basically get this reinserted and potentially, fix the problem I've had with these wacky layer lines. And I'm hoping.
Do you have the little thing that'll cut the angles on the PTFE tube?
I don't. Like Krusty said, oh, just get this and get that. I'm like, don't they just sell them pre-cut? Like I'd rather spend $10 to get someone to send me pre-cut crap than to spend $1 and have to cut it myself. I'm a DIY kind of guy, not a DIY dude.
Sure.
So DIY it, like, this is easy enough to do. Once you sliced it, fine. But I'm more of a, this could end up screwing up everything. So I'd rather not screw things up and buy from somebody.
Yeah, you need to have the taper on there, because if it's perfectly flat, then the filament doesn't flow properly and so on. By the way, Midnight Smith, appreciate the community sub to MEB. Really appreciate that. Thanks so much. I'll give you some blinky lights. I'll be right back.
You get blinky lights. Wow.
So this is just a little Python script that I wrote for that. So this is a little tool that you can 3D print, and it's got a little hole in there, and you just jam your in there. And then like you've got the straight one to like cut it at the 90-degree angle, and then you've got the 45 or 60-degree cuts or whatever. Well, on one end you want the angled, but on the other one it's got to be like flush. And so this just has
neither one of them has an angle.
Well, one end has to be tapered. It can't just be like a perfect like 90-degree cut. It does have to have tapers on there.
I don't know if that matters, because Krusty knows and this was what I'm replacing with.
Okay.
So I mean, I hear you. I'm gonna follow
Okay.
up on that because I want to do this the right way. But I've
I
got
would
like a
say
complete.
look at the old one because I know on the
They're not
Prusa Mark
tapered.
III's, it's not tapered at all, even
No,
on the
they're
inside.
both are no, both are they're flat on either end.
Perfectly flat. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. I had a mini for about a year and I sold it. And now I've just got the Mark III's. And the Mark III's, they have a taper on one end. And on the other end, where it's like a 90-degree, it's actually tapered on the inside. So you actually get your X-Acto knife in and you like scrape it around just so the filament
yeah.
flows in properly.
I haven't. I don't think that Krusty suggested that I do any of that.
Okay.
And he's my my mentor on it. I trust you, Ian. I'm gonna follow
Yeah.
up on that.
Yeah.
But you know, what's the new? There's a new Prusa that's coming out. Hey, by
The
the way, you
XL?
picked up a new subscriber, Aveline French. She loves sharing
Yeah.
my LinkedIn posts too. I love Aveline. She's an amazing supporter. She's an amazing member of at least my community. So I'm happy to have brought her to your doorstep.
Appreciate that very much.
She's a teacher, I believe, in India. And if I get that, if I'm
Nice.
wrong, feel free to correct me. So the new Prusa, what is it? The Prusa XL or
The
whatever
XL?
the hell it's called?
Yep.
Yeah. Like I don't know if I have space on my desk for it. Like it's
I think it's going to
big.
be
Like,
gigantic. It's going to replace this one that I've got right behind me.
So
it's going to sit on that
I,
desk, but it's going to be
I
massive.
would consider it if I knew I had the space for an XL. Like I would consider it. Like the mini right now is working just fine, if only for space constraints. But you know, it's definitely it definitely. I got to learn how to maintain things better. That's my problem.
Gotcha.
And thank you, the Midnight Smith, for I think that we got a sub gift here earlier. Ian,
Yeah,
I know
yeah, I
you're
saw that
hosting,
earlier.
but
Yep. No, I
the
appreciate
Midnight
it.
Smith is from my greater community. He's also into 3D printing. He also streams here on Twitch. So.
And RC Maniac posted a PTFE, but we don't like. Is that for the Prusa Mini? RC Maniac, the link that you posted, or is that for the Mark III? Because I know the Mark III has to be tapered.
Well, let me put it this way: the original one I pulled out was not tapered.
Okay.
And there was no indicator that it needed to be tapered.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I don't see that on their sales page either about it being tapered. So
it may be a Mark III kind of thing.
Yep. Fair enough.
So, yeah, this is the hot end PTFE, not the Bowden tube.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mind the Bowden style, but I found certain filament 1 filaments that I had with glitter in it would actually jam up a nozzle really bad every time, and then trying to pull it back out of the Bowden tube, I always had to disassemble part of the hot end to get the tube out and pull it back from the front as opposed to like yanking it out the back like everything else. It was too much hassle, so I sold the printer.
I'm with you, Ian. Like, you know, along the lines of the tube format, I know there's benefits and drawbacks, but I'm like, the fewer parts that I have to deal with, the fewer things that I have to maintain, the happier I am. So
yeah, absolutely. That's
my style.
Yeah, the Prusa printers that I bought in the past, I bought pre-assembled, so it's like take it out of the box, put it on the desk, you know, insert the SD card and start printing. So, and if something goes wrong, it was them, not me, right?
That's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah. And then I did the frame upgrade on this one, so I don't know if you can tell it's got this blue aluminum frame. It's what they call the bear upgrade, and it just makes the frame a lot more rigid on the Mark III. And supposedly you can print faster with it, but I haven't tried printing that much faster with it. But it's a really nice, like you can get the aluminum extrusions in all different colors and stuff, so you can get really clever with colored parts and colored frame and stuff like that. So
I have not gone. You're already going like deeper than I ever did. For sure.
It's an addiction, Chris. The Prusa Mini is the gateway drug into 3D printing.
Nah, I'm sticking with one for now. I just if only because of budget and space.
For sure.
So
good deal. Are you going to get one of those focus printers? I saw you having some fun with that before the giveaway.
Yeah. They sent one to give away, and I'm trying to get my neighbor into 3D printing. So like if any extras that I might get that we won't be able to accommodate as easily because I'm the only one who deals with it here in the house right now. You know, I figured, let's get other people in. Comic Age Clothing is saying resin next. I would like to do resin. Focus has suggested they'll send resin. It's just I don't know if I have.
It's messy.
For it. It is messy, and that's my problem. I'm
Yeah.
not a messy guy. I don't like messes. I don't like making messes. I don't like cleaning up messes. I don't
Yeah.
like dealing with messes.
My kids are
So
13 and 11, and I didn't want to have resin around them. So I don't know if
yeah,
having Jedi bounce around the room might not be
no.
a good combination.
Or
But
even in the garage, like, don't touch this. Don't touch this. And what happens? What happened?
yeah,
I touched it. Yeah, yeah. Of course, that's what happened.
yep.
So no
Speaking
surprise.
of giveaways, if Loyal Moses is still hanging out, we're gonna shout out Loyal Moses.
Yeah, he's giving away he's
If
giving
that'll
away
work.
2 focuses, Monday and
Yeah,
Friday and
giving
Monday.
giving out
I'm
one tomorrow and
I'm
one
giving
on Monday, I think, right?
I'm giving away one on Monday.
Okay.
And then there's another guy. Oh, what's his name? What's his handle? He's a Ghostbusters guy. The Ghostbusters fan. He likes the focus. He's giving one away on his stream too, but I can't remember his name right now. He's gonna kill me. But either way, yeah, it's he's giving away. Loyal's giving away Friday and Monday. I'm giving away
Yep.
Monday.
And
For
tons of
Valentine's
filament.
Day.
So Loyal,
I don't give much
I got all
filament.
those polylite filaments in the other day. I got the blue, I got the green, I got the galaxy red one, which is kind of a cool rust color. So looking forward
See,
to doing that.
I don't have all the fancy filament relationships that Loyal has. I don't have the relationships with the Raise 3Ds and the poly makers and the poly whatevers and this, that, and the other. I got to go with what I got. So I'm very happy that Focus is paying attention to me.
Well, this was a filament that Loyal Moses sent to me that I won on Loyal's stream. So I've been really digging these
great,
3D
dude.
printed dragons.
I
This
haven't
is
done a
an
dragon yet.
this is an AMOLED one
Oh
where
my
you get
God.
the color change as you
Those
go,
are
and then
great.
this is a rainbow glow in the dark. So it
Those
looks
are
white.
awesome.
It looks white, but it glows pink, blue, and green in the dark, which is really, really neat. And then I got
Wow.
another one that I want to print in where it's purple when it prints, but then it glows bright green in the dark. So that'll be my
that's
next
so
one that I
cool.
print this weekend. So
That's
yeah.
pretty cool, dude.
Yep.
I love
And
it. I
then
mean, it's fun.
yeah, and then I got the multicolor thing. So I got a palette, so you can get into like, I don't know if you know Om Nom from Cut the Rope.
I know of it.
But,
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing years ago, but I don't have I don't have the MMU, I think is what they call it. Yeah, I don't have that.
Well, I have the palette one, so it's a separate company that does this thing called the palette, and you can get I think 4 colors or 8 colors on their thing. But I don't have mine calibrated. This is like the only resin print that I ever kept from when I did resin printing, and it is beautiful. Like it's really hard to beat the like just the clarity and everything on resin print. They're really, really nice for sure. MMU doesn't work on the Mini. I never played around with the MMU. I bought one, and I got about halfway through assembling it, and then realized I needed to rebuild my printer. So I ended up doing the whole frame thing. And by the time I finished that, I lost like half the parts for the MMU.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's like I've got like bins and bins of just crap here in the basement that one of these days I'm gonna go through, and I've probably got all the parts to do it. I just don't have the patience. Well, you don't have the space because it's full of Star Wars.
Exactly.
So
what am I supposed to do? Sacrifice that? Get real.
But yeah, you should get the Palette 3 Pro. So I've got the Palette 3 Pro. It'll do up to 8 filaments. Can you imagine some of those Star Wars figurines you're doing in a multicolor? Those would be pretty sick. Yeah.
Those would be great.
Yep. And those palettes, they'll work on any kind of printer. Like it comes out as a single string of filament, and it goes and builds this little purge block, and you can have a lot of fun with it. So
interesting. Yeah, haven't gone
cool.
that far. Haven't gone that far.
Cool. Well, we've been going for a little over an hour. Chris, I really appreciate your time. Send me your address. I'm gonna get these pins headed your way, and I'll get those in the mail to you tomorrow or on the weekend. And I'll let you have your stream back. Thanks for hosting me tonight. I really appreciate it. And it was great to kind of hang out and chat a little bit and nerd out on some 3D printing and LinkedIn and all good stuff. So yeah, appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm just going to basically be starting my stream now. So like basically, I mean, it's great. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
No, of course.
And experience and expertise. Very appreciated.
Happy to help out. And anyone else that's watching, if you ever have questions about like interview preparation, whether it's for the tech industry or not, I love people just coming by the stream saying, hey, I've got an interview, like what do I talk about for this or that, or talk about behavioral questions. You're always welcome to come by my stream. Unfortunately, I stream at the same time as Chris and Loyal Moses, and we all want to be buddies and we all want to chat and we all stream at the same time. So we'll have to figure out another time to stream. But yeah, anybody's welcome at any time to come by. And I always tell people too, if you ever want to whisper me questions or connect with me on LinkedIn, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I've also got a bunch of things on YouTube as well. But I use the same username on Twitch, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So connect with me on any of those places. If you ever want to whisper or DM me a question that you don't want to ask publicly to show up in the little chat window over here on the left, you can send that to me and I will answer it anonymously on my stream. Not everybody likes having their name attached to questions, so I'm perfectly great with people asking anonymously. I also do resume reviews, LinkedIn reviews, stuff like that on the stream. So there's lots of that information on the website, techinterview.guide. Just type that in your browser as is, and you'll see my website and you'll see how to contact me and how to upload a resume and all that good stuff. So appreciate everybody hanging out. Go nerd out with Chris on some Star Wars. I got a bunch of Lego to put together here myself, and we'll wrap up for the night. This coming Sunday is just going to be Q&A and Ask Me Anything. So drop by the stream if you got questions about interviewing, and we'll just we'll aim for an hour and a half, which means I'm going to go more like 2.5 hours. But we're going to aim for an hour and a half, and yeah, I think we'll just wrap it there. So Chris, really appreciate your time. Thanks again for hosting, and I'm going to come hang out on yours. So if you want to go ahead and do that.
I'm streaming, so you could, if you're gonna, I don't know if you're rating somebody else, but I am going.
I was just gonna come raid your channel at this point.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
Because it's up. I started it.
All right. Cool.
It is going.
All right. Well, we're gonna go raid Chris and.
Wait.
All right.
We're Tusken rating me.
Yeah. Rating yourself. Cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, for hanging out, and I'll be back on Sunday. So I stream Sundays and Thursdays, and we'll catch you in a little bit. We're going to go raid Chris's channel. I'm already on Chris's channel, but everyone else is going to go raid Chris with me. So we'll see you over there in a minute. Have a good night, everyone.